Hello there. How many times will the sun change today? Oh, I don't know. It's changing already. If you click to check out what my top 5 picks are out of all the Pat McGrath Mothership eyeshadow palettes available, might still be available in my drawer, then please keep on watching. Hello friends, if it's your first time here, my name is Alicia. Thank you so much for clicking. Kinky Sweat stands for my kinky hair and sweat life. I'm a fitness professional who loves everything movement and beauty. If you want to check out my movement adventures, all that can be found on my Instagram. And here on my channel, you'll find makeup tutorials, hair product reviews, flexibility tutorials. The next one I want to do is a follow along middle split flexibility tutorial, so tell your friends to get ready for that one. I'm aiming for the end of the month. We're gonna make it happen. Whenever I try to ignore newer makeup releases, stop buying new makeup, or I just run out of content ideas, I just film more Pat McGrath videos. If you haven't noticed, or maybe you don't know, I am a huge Pat McGrath fan. I have all of her eyeshadow palette. I am excitedly anticipating her new foundation, her whole complexion line release. I do have plenty of videos here on my channel. I have a Pat McGrath video explaining all of her palettes. I also have a 3-look video for each of her palettes. Premise behind those videos was to provide some inspiration for those who have Pat McGrath palettes and they don't know what to do with them. And the reason behind the which Pat McGrath palette you should buy was because they are very expensive, and if you just needed some guidance as to figure out which one is worth your money, worth your investment I should say, then hopefully that video provided some info, some insight for you to decide better what palette is best for you. But I asked myself, Alicia, if you could only pick 5, your top 5 Pat McGrath palettes, then what would those be? It was hard, friends, I have to say, because I love all of them in their own special way. But I wanted to break down to just 5 because maybe if you do want a Pat McGrath palette and you're like, I don't know which one is it gonna be, I don't know which one to buy, these are my favorites out of all the ones that I have all of them. All 5 motherships, including the very missed, hoping it will come back eventually, Mothership 4 Decadence, including her 6 minis, her 3 mini motherships, as well as her 3 opulence palettes. I didn't include the small kit palette because that was like a limited edition Sephora exclusive, so I didn't consider that to be a part of like the whole Mothership collection, if you will. So why don't we start with number 5? But first, you want to check out this eye look. If you're wondering what I have in my eyes, it is in fact my most favorite and the one that owns the #1 spot on this list, so you gotta wait. Number 5 goes to Mothership 3 La Vie en Rose. My nails match. Do you like that though? I decided to give La Vie en Rose number 5 and considered a must-have simply because this purple story, even with only 6 shadows, I just think she hit it out of the park. In terms of formulation, color choice, texture, you don't have a lot of neutrals in here, I get it, but the color of this matte Paranormal is simply divine. You could wear this on its own. You could pair it with any of the metallics in here. You could wear it under the lash line. You could wear it however you want. And when it's paired with these other metallic shades, it's just really, the eye look is just multi-dimensional. It's more than just purple. It's just a purple dream. And it's a lot more edited version of the Natasha Denona Lila palette, which is $129. I think all of these were on sale at one point and they were gone. Couldn't believe it. Those were snatched so fast, but I digress. For instance, this metallic here, and I have to take note, Pat McGrath's metallic formula is simply divine. The way it smooths and grooves around and across the lid. You don't even need a mat. You don't need a mat to blend this out. You can use any brush with this formula. Finesse it over the lid, throughout the crease, lower lash line, wing it out, carve it out, do whatever you want. You don't need anything except the eyeshadow itself. And especially that texture is most prominent in her smaller 6-pan palettes. And again, I had to give it to La Vie en Rose because who doesn't love a smoky purple eye? I mean, come on. And if you don't, that's why I put it in number 5, so I get it. But even if you don't like purple, like, I feel this might convert you. It just has to. This one here, oh my goodness, like, I can't stand it. It's just too beautiful. And if you want to be low-key about it, you still have the gold shade in here, which can be a little, I feel it could be alone, but oh, the depth of that gold. You could wear this by itself on the lid. If you have a favorite bronzer or a contour shade you use on your face, use it to blend out that shade. You're done. You don't need each and every roll for shade, or shade for a roll, I should say, in one palette. That's why you have different makeup items in your collection that you dip out of and you create the entire look. This is such a beautiful collection of colors, and I had to include it in my top 5 because I haven't dipped into this for a while. And again, as I mentioned before, I do have a 3-look video using La Vie en Rose if you want to check that out. Every time I use it, I just get blown away every time, and I forget how much I love these shades and I love these textures. So definitely must have for me for 5 palettes. Definitely La Vie en Rose Mothership Subversive 3. I don't even want to take off these swatches, but I know we gotta. Number 4. This was hard because there were a lot that could have taken the number 4 spot, and I wanted to do equal amounts of 6-pan palettes and 10-pan palettes, but I had to give it to Mothership 2 Sublime. First of all, the packaging for these palettes are just otherworldly. These are her 10-pan palettes, which we will now dive into, that are designed with black lacquer, shiny on the front, shiny on the back, heavy. I would consider this very much a home type of a palette. I wouldn't travel with this. It will make your bag heavy, and it could also break. These babies retail for $125. $125 for 10 shadows. You're looking around $12.50 per shadow, but the pan sizes are pretty big, I gotta say, so it's worth the splurge. But you really have to love this palette. The reason I had to give it to Sublime was because I feel this one, in fact, when it first released, this was the first one to sell out, because you have a lot of neutral shades in here. You have the black that they all have, this very deep mahogany brown for the matte shade, but I just love these metallic shades that you can wear on their own. You can wear with the mattes in here. The green, this Emerald Blitz green, this, I mean, you just cannot. The smoothness of this shadow, the glitz of it. Keep in mind that the camera will not do justice for any of these shades that are swatched in this video. And especially now for Blitz Emerald, I mean, just the texture of this shadow, I cannot get over. And then you have the astral shades that are found in her 10-pan palette and can be used as toppers to put on any of these shadows. You could apply these by themselves. You could apply them again on any, but look at that, like the duochrome reflectivity of this freaking shade. And only Pat McGrath can get away with this type of formula that I understand some find annoying to work with. I get it. You gotta be smart. You gotta be smart with how you apply these shades. Can't go ham. You gotta use a finger and tap, tap, tap. If you have hooded lids, then maybe just apply these textures to your lower lash line and don't even bother with your lid. You will find a way. You have to find a way to use the topper shades because they're just so gorgeous. The other one that I feel is a truer topper shade in that it doesn't have as much pigment as the one here. That's more like a topper that you rely on another shadow to provide that color, and then you go in with that to create the gleam and the twinkle. These shades I find are just so beautifully smooth, are just so easy to work with. You could wear that by itself. You could wear this one by itself. I mean, the possibilities are endless in this palette, and I had to give it the number 4 spot because it's just sublime. It's gorgeous. You can't go wrong. This bronze or gold, whatever the shade is, I can't stand it. What is that? The amount of colors and combinations and looks you can create with these 10 shadows, That's all you need. And that's why I feel people went after this one first, because out of the first three, I would say, or even all five big mothership palettes, this I find to be the most user-friendly, simply because the only standout color you have, hello, is Blitz Emerald. And then I would consider this to be very bold because it is quite shiny, very warm in tone, but then everything else is pretty simple in terms of Pat McGrath color story. So that's why I thought Can't Go Wrong with Sublime. If you want to just jump out of your comfort zone and slap on Blitz Emerald, you will not be disappointed. And again, when in person, when you see the textures just dance on your lids in person, you will understand. And a swatch isn't enough on the hand. I mean, it's a nice intro, it's a nice tease. When you put these on your lids, your eyes, it's just, you realize why Pat McGrath's price point is where it is. However, I will say a lot of it is because of the packaging, because I understand that her formulas are made in Italy, and depending on where she resources her materials from, how the ingredients are formulated, contributes to the price. I also do believe that the packaging contributes heavily to the price. This, I'm sure, costs a lot to make, and yeah, it probably would be half the price if you just put these shades in cardboard. But as you know, Mama Pat is all about the experience, not just about the makeup itself, but seeing the makeup, feeling the makeup, just getting into her world, how she sees, how she experiences makeup, and she wants you to undergo the same thing. So that's why you pay $125 for eyeshadow palettes if you choose to. So that is the number 4 spot, friends. Let me know if you have Sublime, if you're thinking about getting Sublime, or La Vie en Rose for that matter. Number 3. I had to include one of her holiday palettes. I know they went on sale recently. They were labeled as limited edition. I do believe they are still on her website, but I had to give the number 3 spot to Mothership Subliminal Dark Star. I know, I just can't get over this color story. I had to give it the number 3 spot. This is definitely one of my top 5, because look at the gray. It's not just any gray, it's a blue gray, which just opens the possibilities of you combining this shade with a ton of other shades that it won't mess up, it will just enhance it. You could combine it with any tone of gray, any tone of purple, any tone of blue. I know it didn't wipe from the Sublime shades, but I'm just gonna continue on this arm. This matte, I cannot get over it. I just love the smokiness of it. It's just, it's not just gray. It has a depth to it that you could wear on its own, and the smokiness is not just your typical brown or black all matte eye. The gray is just so different. It's a great break from the typical shadows they use to create matte smoky eye looks with. And of course, you can't forget about, I believe this is Metropolis. This blue, or I should say, what am I saying? Oh my God, the aubergine. Such a beautiful, like, plum is a little red. This is like the aubergine, like the eggplant type of purple. I keep wanting to say blue because I want to shade the blue. I want to shade the blue. This tone of purple is just one of my favorites. It's just, oh my God. And if you happen to have all the palettes that I've mentioned so far, you can combine this with La Vie en Rose. I know, it's just too much to take. And then when you get into this blue, which is duochrome, it has a little bit of purple reflect in there. Absolutely gorgeous. And this shade here, I mean, there are 2 types of like champagne shades. So if I just wanted to share a suggestion, if I were to rearrange this palette, I would include another color that was from maybe it would be like a silver or something, because I know they're not similar, but they're like in a similar family. If you just wanted to stick with the gold, look at that. You could just put that all over your lid. I have, again, a 3-look video using a Dark Star. I believe I applied Deep Space, which is the blue gray matte, with this shade here, and it was gorgeous. It was different, but I liked it. I don't know what it was. I don't know the combination of what have you. It worked out. And I think that was the look that I messed up and had to start over again. So you'll see if you care to watch that video. And then you have this, I believe, Dark Matter, maybe? I forgot the name. I know I have the card here. Hold on, let me read the card. Yes, I was right, Dark Matter. This is more like a satin type of a shade. It's really beautiful. It has a little bit of it's not completely matte. It has a little bit of a sheen. A little bit of a sheen that you could use all over your lid to smoke out your lash line, top and bottom. If you wanted to spray it with some whatever, you can make a wing. I have a liquid liner on today, but you could use the shadow for the wing. I absolutely love Dark Star. It's just one of my, dare I say, my favorite out of the Opulence collection. I love Bronze Temptation as well because it has corruption, and that freaking shade is just gorgeous. But because of Deep Space, the blue-gray matte, I just can't help but still consider this my top pick, not only out of Opulence, but to give it the number 3 spot in my top 5 Pat McGrath Palettes. We're near the end. Can't believe it. This video might be under 20 minutes long, but knowing me, maybe not. Maybe 25. The number 2 spot. This was hard, I have to say, because there are so many palettes that I love. And of course, I know this is my list, but I was also thinking about you guys or anyone else who was considering buying Pat McGrath palettes. Include one that was beyond user-friendly to me. I know they might not all be user-friendly to all, but to me, give the number 2 spot to a palette that could be used by most. I'll put it that way. It was between Bronze Ambition and Platinum Bronze. I know, I love those two. The reason why I gave the number 2 spot to Bronze Ambition was because the colors are just gorgeous. They're just gorgeous. Platinum Bronze is for the cool spectrum, yeah, because that shade, I believe, is called Deep Velvet. A lot of these that I presented were released as singles that are really, really expensive, so I wouldn't even screw with the singles. Just get the palette. This is less expensive. Deep Velvet is just a divine matte. I mean, that tone is just but I decided to give the number 2 spot to Bronze Ambition because come on, you know I love my warm shades no matter what the brand, what the palette. You gotta include them, man. You gotta include them. Now, when this released at the time, this matte happened to be the warmest out of all mattes available. My goodness, one of those things, it definitely swatches deeper than how it appears in pan. When you get it on your lid, it gets smoky fast. Despite it appearing warm, this will give you smoke. It will give you smoke. And when you pair it with the matte here that has sparkle in it, so I get it if you're not into that, it will make the texture, or it is drier. The texture is drier because of the copper particles in here. But when you pair it, excuse me, I can't breathe, I'm so excited. When you combine it with Throwing Shade, I know, it's too much to take. And then of course, we haven't even dived in the metallics that, again, all of which you can apply all by themselves, no matte, blend them out smoothly, no skips whatsoever. This shade right here, are you kidding me? Oh my god. What else can I say? What else can I say? I could say that I could lighten me up because the light's changing again. Bronze Ambition is a classic Pat McGrath 6-pan palette. You can't go wrong. I feel a lot of skin tones can benefit from this, especially on the deeper side of the spectrum. This, I feel, appears a lot deeper than how, again, it shows in pan, and you can get a lot of smoke from this shade. And when you combine it with, hold on, Illicit, it gives beautiful smoke. And again, the 6-pan metallic formula is just so beautiful to work with, and I feel a lot more user-friendly than a lot of the textures in her bigger 10-pan mothership palettes. And that's why I had to give it the number 2 spot, because again, color story can go wrong, textures easy to use, and although this is a very specific color story, warm, golden, and copper. You could do so many looks with these 6 shades. Mothership, Sublime, Bronze Emission, number 2 spot, there you go. And that brings us to our number 1 spot out of my 5 Pat McGrath eyeshadow picks. You know which one it is. I already revealed my favorite in my Pat McGrath Which One's For You video. Is what I have on my eyes today. I can't help it. Subversive is my favorite Pat McGrath palette. I do love Decadence, but she's no longer available, so that would be unfair for me to say that it is my favorite. And you're like, what about Bronze Seduction? Have you forgotten about her? No, I have not. Bronze Seduction has 2 shades in there, 2 textures, I should say, that are not my favorite. I don't know if it's because I got a weird batch or she just decided to change the formula for those 2 shades in particular. I just feel the shades are better to work with in the first 3. I said it, I'm sorry, and I love Pat, but for some reason, the 2 shades in Bronze Seduction I feel are a little chunky and are not as easy to work with as the ones in Subversive, Sublime, and even Subliminal. So let's go over this, shall we? Again, I got a 3-look video using Subversive. I have the blue on the majority of my lid with Night Creature, and I popped on some of the Astral shade on the center. Hello, where's the card? I need the card. I used the deep shade to smoke out the crease. What else? I applied Gigabyte, which is, listen, Gigabyte. Every time I think of Pat McGrath, Gigabyte just stands out for me in terms of like one of the best freaking shades she has ever made. Night Creature though is my favorite. Like, again, the camera does not do justice to the shade, to the texture. I mean, this in person is to die for. To die for. And the twinkle in Gigabyte, again, can't see it on camera the way it just dances and just gleams. And when you apply it wet, forget it. You're not ready. My favorite metallic shade in here has to be Lazarus. Lazarus, smooth, easy to blend. This is your one-stop shop for your all smoky, bronzy eye. For the summer, fall, winter, spring, whenever you want to put this on. You could put this on throughout the crease if you wanted, instead of all over your lid. You could pair it with Gigabyte. Ow, but you know what I mean. And Skin Show Nude, this tone of the nude shade is my favorite because it's not too yellow, but it's not too light either. Perfect for highlighting any part of your eye. You could also use it to highlight the tops of your cheekbones if you want it with the smaller brush. Virtual Reality Pink, please. Come on, stop it. Stop it. That on top of Night Creature. Astral Ghost Orchid shade. Whatever you want to put this on, it's going to give it such beautiful dimension and just reflectivity. It's really going to amplify the shadow you apply it. This shade I freaking love on the lid. It's not just any blue, it's just the most beautiful blue because it has these purple reflex in there that again just pair beautifully with Night Creature. I mean, I could go on and on and on. I go more in depth about these palettes in my Which Pat McGrath Palette is Best For You. And again, I have 3-look videos for each of these palettes. I gave Subversive my number 1 spot because I felt it just had the most comprehensive color story in terms of you going daily friendly, you going event, you going in between, you going powwow, give me color now, or in between powwow, give me color now. You could go so many routes with this color story and they will just deliver no matter which shadow you use. So once again, Subversive Mothership 3 is my favorite palette. It is also my first Pat McGrath palette. So it does play a role in me choosing this palette for the number 1 spot, but after using all her palettes thoroughly, I just keep coming back to Subversive. It is always reconfirmed why it is my favorite, and that's the reason why, or reasons why I should say. So since you've seen why the top 5s are my top 5, let me know what your favorites are. If you had to rank your Pat McGrath palettes in 5 slots, which ones will you put where? And Please take note, this is also not to force you to buy Pat McGrath eyeshadow palettes. There's a lot of makeup you can buy and it constantly gets pushed into our faces. If you already were thinking about buying Pat McGrath, or maybe you are never gonna buy Pat McGrath, but you just like to see Pat McGrath videos, and hopefully if this video help with that. And if you cannot decide for the life of you which one to get, maybe this will provide some perspective and just kind of narrowed the list a little bit so you don't feel as overwhelmed. Let me know your thoughts down below, friends, and until then, that's a wrap. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video helped, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And until then, I'll see you on here again with another favorites list, review, tutorial, or flexibility lesson. Take care, and I'll see you again soon. Light change is hard to keep up with you. Oh, we gotta get the Rugrats pillow in the frame, Alicia. What are you doing? Now I'm cool toned. Oh my god, again? If you had to rank your top Rugrat, top.